it's loading really slow. But I think... Watch, I bet all of a sudden it's going to appear back up. Hi, I'm Wayne Tuttle. And this is not Chasing Legends. See? I fixed it.
Is it live?
Yes.
Okay.
See?
Okay.
Glenn Webster. This is my show now.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
No, you can have it back. I'm going to go...
Where did it go? Oh, shit, what the hell are you doing?
No, I just minimized it for a second.
Get out. Get out before you screw something else up.
Let me pop out your chat.
Oh my god. Just leave the room.
And then we should also make sure to close that other stream. See, I'm the fireplace doctor.
Yeah, I know we're on, and it sounds good, but yes, it's...
This is the Trevor show now.
Well, then I'm leaving.
No. I'm just trying to delete the other stream thing that it was trying to do.
How many streams you got up there, man? Why don't you just leave them and then work on it after we do the show?
Yeah, but what if someone goes to watch that one?
Make sure you get the right one. Don't lose everybody that's here now.
Delete forever. I'm deleting the upcoming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you what?
Someone said good shirt, Trevor.
Oh. Trevor's a moron.
Trevor's fantastic.
We were up live. We were ready to go.
Someone said volume's too low. Here.
You're killing me.
Smalls?
You're killing me.
Alright, it's yours.
Killing
Take
me.
it away.
Alright, so here we are. And we got the delay, so... But anyways, we had everything up and ready to go, and Trevor said, oh, the microphone's not hooked up. And I said, why? He said, because the cable's over here, I took it off. Because he was using it for something else. Trevor, I'm froze.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I'm not you sitting in the chair, okay?
Well, it must have a delay, because this is what's actually happening. It must be delayed.
It's not moving.
Yes, it is. That's
my!
me.
How much of a delay are we dealing with here?
I don't know.
What I'm watching is you in the chair. I'm sitting in the chair.
Here
How
we
is
go.
this possible?
No, I didn't get up yet. I'm fixing the volume.
This is insane. How am I supposed to deal with this? So I guess I just watch the chat and not watch that, because that is, 2 minutes behind?
Do you normally watch yourself?
I kind of look up what's going on. Just leave the room. You know what? Leave the room. Just leave the room. Jesus. I got to catch up all this. And then explain. Yeah. Leave. So, it's totally distracting that I'm sitting here watching myself 2 minutes ago. Thank you.
Have fun.
Asshole. Okay. Oh, man.
I left my phone in there.
It's not your phone. Take that phone. Okay. Get out of here. Leave. So we had everything up ready to go live. I set everything up. He didn't like the way I set it up. There's a different way to set it up. And then he mentions, and this is so distracting because the picture I'm seeing is him in the background behind me right now. But, jeez. Anyhow, this is ridiculous. So he comes in and says, oh, I got the cable over here. So he goes to hook the mic, but then it kills the camera. And then he tries to go a different route and put it up. And then he has 2 streams going, but neither one of them are going to have any video. And one of them has audio. And and I'm like, well, do you want me to just go live on the iPhone and just, you can fix this later? Oh, no, I can get it. So now, for some unknown reason, like I said, I'm looking a minute or two in the past when I see what's going on my left. So I'm just going to concentrate on the chat because, like I said, that's so distracting right now. Usually there's about a 4 or 5 second delay in what we're doing. Right now, there's this huge delay. Trevor just walked off the screen right now. So, you're for real. Well, it's for real, but yes. We're going to talk about Garden Valley here in a second. Yes, we're definitely going to do that. It was all Trevor's fault. It was all going fine, and he said, oh, no, I messed with the mic. We got to fix that. And for whatever reason, when he fixed the mic, the camera went down, and then the mic went down, and then I was just sitting there like, I figured it out. Oh, okay, anyways. So there we are. We're live. As you can tell, the Dawn shirt, which I'm looking at the picture, but anyways, it's not me doing anything, but I'm wearing my Dawn shirt this week because I just got back from Discovery Camp down at the Dawn's base camp. So I basically rolled in from there and then got in here, set this up, and then Trevor came in and sabotaged me. So, looks like you've been playing some bass. Bass has been sitting there for a while. I don't think anybody's played it for a while. It's been sitting back. It always sits in the stand because it can't hang on the wall because it hangs down too far. I think that was the problem. It used to actually sit in the corner there. It used to hang on the wall in the corner. And then I put the aria up there. So, Redemption for Sunsets. And that was another thing I was thinking of doing because we had the one screen where the chat and everything, it's smaller. But I was thinking, okay, I'll put it up over here. And I'll do it this way because I was going to bring my Pro Tools up on my other screen. And then I figured I could run some of the music we'd worked on and some of the stuff we weren't using and kind of play some of that and everybody could hear some of it. We're going to do something with it. And anyways, so that was one of the ideas I had for today too, is to say, hey, here's some of the ideas and things that we kind of have moved on from, but there's a whole bunch of it. There's 4 or 5 different pieces that we had up. And then I don't think the original stuff, I don't think it's loaded. I think it's in the Zoom. I didn't run it through Pro Tools and I didn't like that. That was his idea early on to record it through the Zoom. And then I switched it to the Pro Tools. And then we made the mistake of running it through the soundboard. And for some reason, we got a little buzz through that. And then I scrapped all that. And then I started running direct to the Pro Tools the way I wanted to do it in the first place, which worked out. So anyways, that's a long way around of all that. That was his fault too. So, but a lot of stuff got done musically and stuff. And I kind of got a lot of progress, but then I wanted to go back to some of the stuff that I'd worked on that I wasn't going to use, because I told Trevor, I said it would be kind of cool to take that music and put that on YouTube as well, find some way to kind of portray it, because it's probably not terrible or bad, and it's kind of out of context, because it's just meant for little segues, but take a few of those pieces and do that. I'd like to go on a hike with you sometime. So, okay, so going that way, we're in the month of January, and the next big event is coming up February 10th. February 10th, Saturday, February 10th, First Water Trailhead, which is you go by the Superstition Mountain Museum, you go by Goldfield Ghost Town, continue up, it'll be on your right, and you go down the First Water Trailhead. There's 2 parking lots. There's a lower parking lot, which holds X amount of vehicles. I don't know, probably about 40 vehicles, maybe 50. And then there's an upper horse trailer parking lot that's much larger that'll hold a lot of overflow vehicles. And there's a short walk down the hill back to the other parking lot. There's restrooms down at the lower parking lot. We'll be meeting there. We will put up a time and date. We'll make sure it's out there. Hey, Dallas. So we will do all that and have everything set up in a time and meeting place. I was talking to the Dons last night because we had a meeting, and then talking to some today, trying to get some Dons to work who don't want to do the hike necessarily, but I was like, hey, we could do a shuttle from the upper lot if there's any overflow, if the parking's crowded for some people. And then the other thing is for someone to be down there for any late goers. We're trying to work out the strategy of the sites. We'll be going to the Trek 1934 Trek First site, which is along there where the Dons had their first trek. And we'll be showing that site and talking about the trek and all that. And then the very first hike they ever did was to Garden Valley. So it's 90 years, a day early from the 90th anniversary. We'll be going out through First Water, which is not there anymore. Well, First Water Creek is, but the ranch isn't. But we'll stop there and do a little history on the ranch, and then we'll continue up to Garden Valley, where 90 years earlier Odd Houseth had done a little talk up there at Garden Valley, and we'll talk about Garden Valley, and that'll be probably the turnaround. So it only takes an hour or so to walk out, pretty easy hike, and an hour maybe to get back. There's only kind of the uphill downhill just before when you go to ascend up onto Garden Valley, but we'll do that. Greg Davis will be out there. I'm trying to get a couple other people, and then we're trying to put some material together, something for everybody that shows up and all. So it'll be the Dawns, and then we'll have just open it up to anybody who wants to come out and join the Dawns on that 90th anniversary hike. So it'll be a very cool thing. If you've ever wanted to kind of do that, it's just a pretty easy thing. We wanted to do it, but it's a 90th anniversary kind of deal. And I think it's a good starter point for trying to do something that the Dawns do this type of stuff just as the Dawns, but this will be more of trying to reach out to people of like, hey, the Dawns are kind of doing this, and we can share a little in the history. The rendezvous, which will be the 20th anniversary rendezvous, October 25th, 26th, 27th, will be similar. There's a few things we got planned. We were going to try to do this last year, and we didn't really do. But this year, we'll try to do a few things that would have been part of the very first trek at that site, which would have been 1935. Because they did only one at First Water, and then they moved it down to Peralta, which was, at that time, it wasn't Peralta, it was Willow Canyon. So they moved it down by the Linesby Ranch at Willow Canyon and leased some property off of them to hold the trek there. And so we'll be doing that, and that'll be a kind of a, there was I got the, I don't know where I put it now, but I have the first trek schedule thing, and I'm trying to kind of put something together for the 20th anniversary on the 90th anniversary, kind of that works together. So I thought that would be kind of cool. So that's those two things. Additionally, the Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards, March 15th on the Ides of March, which will be a Friday. So we don't have to all do the whole thing and then just jump and take off. Because that's usually the pain in the butt in all this. Is that we do the Treasure Hunter and it's like Tuesday night and everybody's got to get up for work the next day. So it kind of like, it's late, we're tired, and we just want to go. So there you go. February 11th is my birthday. Well, there you go. I don't know. It's not, but it is for the trek anniversary. So there's that. Those things covered. We did Discovery Camp today. We had scheduled, I think, 5 groups of 3rd grade classes, but their bus broke down, so there was a big delay. So we sat around in camp twiddling our thumbs until we got all of that squared away and done. That was kind of a pain in the butt. So I'm trying to think of what else, but yeah, it was a good time. It's been a busy week because it was the meeting last night was this, but I get a little breather until we get into we do this 5 more weeks, and then there's the Lost Dutchman Parade, which I can't remember when that is. Well, the parade is the February 24th. There's also, we do a highway cleanup, which is just the club, but we'll do that hike on the February 10th, and then there's some other things kind of slotting in there too. So it's going to be really busy the next probably 6 to 8 weeks. A lot of trips up to the mountains though, so that's kind of always cool. So we got to sit there and kind of check that out in the morning. Where's the Stone Monument in Garden Valley? Looked for it, but okay. Well, if you come with us on February 10th, I'll show you. And kind of do the outlines. I'm trying to see, I'm not going to make any promises. There's a couple people that know a lot about it. And one of the things I'd like to do is have someone kind of walk in with a group and then someone drop off. And then they can kind of talk about the first trek site while the next group, that first group or whatever, if we have to split into groups because of the wilderness stupid stuff. We get to First Water and someone will drop off there, and then when the last group comes in, they'll just pick up, and we'll be able to talk and then get up there and show where the grinding holes are and that stuff, where the Apache Ranchera was in the fight, because I think there was 30 or 40 Apaches killed up there in Garden Valley. There was also a Mormon settlement up there for a while. So we won't get into a lot of the history on here, but we'll do it there and talk about it, and everybody can kind of look around at arrowheads and stuff. We've had enough rain off and on, so hopefully everything will be kind of surface and looking cool. So Wayne a thumbs up, y'all. So we finally got everything going here, and that was kind of a deal. Like a hike. So okay. I'm basically. I will be on the trek. Okay, you'll be out there. You didn't. Yeah, I didn't see you today. So, anyhow, but yeah, we'll do that thing on Garden Valley, and I think that'll be actually cool. I'm gonna try to make something of a big deal out of it, just because the 90th anniversary, and then maybe for the next 9 years after, continue to try to do it each year during the Discovery Camp to kind of make it a little bit of an annual thing, just because it would be kind of cool to kind of get the Dons in the public working together again on something like that, where we work with, because a lot of times, except for the Discovery Camp, we're not interacting with the public a lot, and I think that's a shame. I think the educational side of it, and I think it's good for the Dons to become more knowledgeable, because that's kind of fallen. I have a cool business card somewhere where there was a Lost Dutchman research committee and all kinds of cool stuff they used to do. So I'm trying to kind of get that resurged, and then get some people up to speed and all that. So doing something Garden Valley, and then if that really takes off each year, then maybe we do a hieroglyphic canyon hike and something else. Do not, Patchy Kids Cave. I'm not sure because of the climb at the end and how that is stuff. So, but try to get several easy hikes of certain things in. So maybe do a Fremont Saddle, and Lone Pine Tree, whatever they call it up there. But maybe do a few things and make it each year, a few hikes like that. And have the Dons back to interactive, a little history, but kind of reach out to the public. We'll see how this first one goes. So hopefully it's a nice turnout. This may be unrelated, but the Elephant Arch seems to be an outlier and interesting terrain about there. Wonder around that spot. I've been out there hiking. Been out there a number of times. I don't know. There's a lot of guys that got drawn to that. And there's a lot of arches out there. There's a lot of big arches. There's a lot of small arches. Yeah, a lot of arches. But I don't know. It was like today, someone was talking about Dutchman clues out at Discovery Camp. A parent asked me some stuff. And it was funny because what happens is they watch television or they go into Wikipedia and they pull some stuff. And then I realize how difficult it is to kind of back around it and work around it, kind of like more the timeline of some of that. Because so much stuff, people have a habit of taking Brownie Holmes stuff and then just mixing it with Petrash and Thomas stuff, which it really can't, because they're almost two completely different concepts. If you read them, they're not as similar as you think they are. Jacob Waltz's story with Reinhard Petrash and Julia Thomas is a completely different story, really, than what Brownie Holmes, or supposedly Dick Holmes, told. So you have this problem that you're trying to make them match, and they really don't. And there was some interesting things said today, and I was behaving myself. I was just kind of like, like I said, if you want to go up there and you think it's really there, and it's not competition to me, go for it. Just be careful. Mr. Porch wants to go. Well, Mr. Porch can go. You just show up February 10th at the First Water Trailhead parking lot. And we should be wearing red shirts like this, the Dons. And we'll have Dons hats. We might not. I might be wearing my hat because I usually like to wear my hat. But we have the red shirts, and I'm trying to make that for all the Dons to make sure they wear the red shirt so we stand out. So if anybody has a question or something. So it should be pretty cool. Last year we tried to do it. We didn't invite the public. We invited the Dons. Greg Davis had a little bit of a health issue, and we had to kind of follow him back out and make sure he got out and got home safely. So it kind of sucked, but at the same time we did the right thing, and it kind of changed the trip. But then I don't know if I would have really kind of thought about it this year and then realized, 90th anniversary. So it worked out. So bucket list. What's the bucket list item? Not surely hiking with me. Everybody hates that. I either go too fast, too slow, do this, do that. Hopefully, I should be February 10th. Well, there you go. Fremont Saddle, very high elevation. It's not that bad. Looks majestic. I wish I could make that trip. It would be amazing views. Well, and part of the idea is Trevor will be along, so we'll film it. And we'll do some filming of, like, necessarily of kind of to present it to everybody. Hey, you couldn't make the trip, but this was the correct group that went along. And a little bit of the talks and stuff and put something together. So we should be able to put something video-wise together. We have that Fremont Saddle. I don't know if he did a lot of B-roll up there. I don't know how much he has. We did spend a day up there, Trevor and myself, and filming just B-roll for sunsets and stuff. I don't know what all he got because I think we got up there. And then there was a lot of people around, so we couldn't do any audio stuff or anything like that. And it was very windy that day. One of the problems with some of the footage is that the tripod, which was a heavier, good tripod, was still, you can see the movement, the very minute, but you can see movement because of the winds up there. But that would be a cool trip. And then the ultimate would be the cave trail, taking the cave trail up. And that's, again, very limited. When the Dons did it, they ran rope down Devil's Slide. And then the Dons would be their position there to help people up Devil's Slide along the ropes, so they would use the ropes. When you realize how much effort and what they did, they had to go out there, remember, take these big, heavy ropes and then run them down. There was 2 or 3 of them. And then have a Don position at the bottom, Don's more central to help some people, and then people at the top. And then they had a lunch thing. And all. When you realize just the logistics of just that particular thing, not just all of Trek, but just certain particular things, that was pretty crazy. So, I'm only going. Lacey's going. Oh, Bobby, you're too much. So, anyways, but that's that. So I really hope, and like I said, we'll probably do something special on it when we get closer, kind of talking about it, because we'll set a time. The Dons will want to set a certain time. And we want to set it not too early because we want people to come out. It's going to be, obviously a Saturday. But we also want it to be so we can get there early and kind of get things set up and ready together. So, see that. It makes me wonder if the Dons ever came across the Spanish fortress. Dons came across a lot of stuff, but the Dons were very secretive. Going through Don's material, there will be meeting minutes, and during their board meetings and so forth, they will talk this group, and it'll tell you 4 or 5 names. Say, I don't know, Harold Marks, Orrin Arnold, Art Weber, and it'll give you, 4 or 5 names of the Dons. And it would say they went out in the Superstitions for a few days, came back with what looks like pretty nice gold. They're looking to file some claims out there to see what it is they have. And then there would never be a mention of it again. And you're like, what? So we tried to look for the claims, but none of those names, nothing to do with the Dons. So we don't know what they filed any of the claims out of. I tried to go by year and see anything generally in the area I could pick up. I don't know. Greg Davis even told me there was a couple times they found at one time it was a pouch, a small little leather pouch, like a tobacco pouch that was full of gold nuggets out there somewhere. So much for the Western Superstition not having gold. And there was also a person found, and I don't know, I've been trying to find that site. There was a place where the Dons went and they took I think it was a horseshoe, and they put a beer can in it. And they put the beer can in the horseshoe and then stuck a note in the beer can or beer bottle. And someone found it, and it said the Dons of Arizona had lunch here on this date, which was sometime in the 30s or 40s. So it's always kind of like they were out there, and there's a group of people, and sometimes you have the names, and there's a group of anywhere from 5 to 7 people back in the mountains. And if you read the sign the Forestry Service put up, it says every year they would make their annual trek, and this is the base camp is the base camp for the Dons to go into the Superstitions. So it's very unusual. Every map I've ever found to do with anything is just them putting a map together for kind of the tourism trade, kind of that kind of thing. But mysteriously, and I'll someday have to kind of pull together what I can of that. I found some photographs of it, but they had a shed where they kept file cabinets and stuff, and all the stuff from the 30s and 40s. And all those documents, all those minutes, all that stuff was burned up in a fire, mysteriously. And everything was lost. And there was kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod about it. And then I found the pictures, and then it looks like everything was completely burned up, except the file cabinets look like nothing happened to them. And it just shows them sitting there. They're not open. It doesn't show everything burned inside. It just shows them sitting there away from the building. And they look intact and they look fine. So I don't know. Very odd, very odd. And then I keep finding scraps. And like I said, Greg found assay papers. We're looking at these assays and stuff, saying that's pretty good gold. Where? But there's no other further information. So they were very mysterious what they were doing and how they were doing that. And none of those people have been around since probably the 70s or 80s. They're all long gone. And the people that after them might have known them pretty much faded away or died off in the 90s. So we don't. I think Reese Cornelius, Art Weber, those guys would have been some of the last ones that might have known definitely some things. And they did a good job of where people didn't question it or anything, or at least within the club. So Jacob Found vid shows the LDM. Jacob Found? I don't know which one's Jacob Found. I have to look at it. Because I don't know if it's the one I'm thinking of. It was Jacob Found. Is that what it's just called? Jacob Found? I'm cleaning toilets in the bathroom. I just saw this. No, we can't get to Marge. Bobby, you're too much. Okay. Can't make the hike, sadly. I have other plans that particular day. Well, that's too bad. We'll try to do other things. And it's not meant as like a end-all thing. It's meant as something I just want to kind of reach out. And if people are able to do it, and that's fine, good. I'm going to try to see what this Jacob Found is, because usually I've seen all these, so I want to see what this says. Jacob Found. Okay, that's a cartoon. It's a guy with a baby. Is it the one that says, see the Dutchman's Peralta gold mine? That one? Because I've seen that one before. Nope. You know, that's a weird thing, too. Is like, you know, and I'll say this nicely as I possibly can. When people show an open adit of a hard rock mine that probably was built out there sometime in the 50s or 60s, could be even the 70s. It's definitely not Spanish. It is a mine, though. Someone dug. You don't see any vein. And you start looking for telltale things, because there's certain things we know and we're told. And it doesn't do any of that. And not just that, but the whole... Maybe it's a pretty mine. Actually, it could be pretty, Ed. But it also is not the Lost Dutchman, which was a pit. So if you remember, Jacob Waltz said there was a tunnel started down below, and it only went in a short distance. And he tried to rock it up because he thought it might bring people's attention to the pit above and all. Is this the guys with the helmets? I don't know. The guys that have the helmets. I don't know. Yeah, some Chrysocolla. I've seen that one and all, but everybody can have theirs. I'll have mine. All mines can be pretty, especially if they have a lot of color and stuff. You're looking for something with hematite and locked in a vein of quartz about 2 feet. And it's going to be very distinctive. I actually have some more similar to that. I at the rock show, I looked around for some. I knew I wasn't going to find gold, but popcorn kernels of gold locked in quartz and within hematite, and find something, though it wouldn't be size-wise, would be similar, so you'd kind of know what you're looking at when you're talking the Dutchman and the ore. Sucks you can't make the hike, Clint. I'm planning on making it. Interesting mineralization, though. The Arcana thing, yeah, I know, it would be nice to make the hike. Annual BNSA book sale that day. Well, whatever. But we'll do it again. We'll find some other things to do. We did it a couple times. Like one year at the Rendezvous, we went out to Burns ranch and Ward's cabin site and did stuff like that. So we try to do things occasionally. And no, it's just different times. People make things, and sometimes they can't. So it's all good and it's all cool. And like I said, the whole in the end, I'm hoping that Trevor will be able to film and put something together. So if you didn't make it, you'll get the information gist, and you'll get to see a little of what's going on out there and stuff. And if you got some kids, bring the kids. It's always a good time. If anyone shows up at the book sale, try to get the Dutchman's books before me. I will kick. What's the VNSA book sale that has Dutchman books? I don't understand that. Okay. Anyways, I don't know what VNSA is. I'm kind of don't know that. And I don't know how much of delay you guys are getting from me and all this too. That's a problem too. So, that's kind of like where I've updated information and news. It was a long day too, because I went in and I worked for 3 or 4 hours before I decided to do that. It's an awesome annual sale at the fairgrounds. Well, I didn't know that. So I generally, the best way to get Dutchman books, because they're so difficult to find, is you have to almost know estate sales of people who are Dutchmen is usually the best way. But the museum used to actually have some good ones in their collection, because they would have they had a library in the back for the docents and people who worked there, so they could have pull down books to read. So they had a nice library of some really good stuff. There was some stuff I really wanted, and they either gave it away or they dumped them. And there was a few there I don't have. They were very they were self-published little bits and pieces of stuff by several people, and they're just hard to get because they basically made maybe 20 or 30, maybe 40, and that was it. And then most of them probably just get lost to time. And I wanted them just because I knew the people, and those are very hard to find. But most of the stuff, I don't know what I got here. I've never counted how many I got. And I've always said, because my children, each of them would be possibly interested, and I didn't want them to fight. There's 3 copies of Helen Corbin's book, 3 copies of Thunder God's Gold, first editions, 3 copies of Simsey. There's 3 copies of everything, so of what I consider the canon, the main books. But like Tom, Ride Through Time, I got 3 hardbacks for the kids. And but I always tried to do that, so that way there would never be an argument. They could say, well, okay, get rid of it if you want to, but I wanted to make sure that the library was set for that. But there's a few that are just singular. God's, whatever that creation book, that one anyways. I got only 1 copy of that, because that was a hard book. There's a few, and DeGrazia put a few books that are very difficult because they were such limited editions at the time. He would only put out like 500, and he would sign them. And of course with DeGrazia, it's not just the superstitions, it's just not, it's the art, it's just different things. So the collectible areas are kind of varied, so it just doesn't mean because you're into the superstitions or something you run into them. I'm trying to think of what one of them was. It's very cool. He loved the VNSA book sale. I'm sorry, I'll be out at Garden Valley. Greg Davis has a couple books, like 4,000 or 5,000. Greg Davis has more than 4,000 or 5,000 books. Greg Davis probably has, I'm going to say, a couple thousand books related to Dutchmen, but he also collects fiction books. I don't have much in the way of fiction. Anything to do with the superstitions, there's a section that's just books related to the Superstition Mountains. But there's two or three two-sided bookshelves that are probably about 8 feet tall, that are all of just Arizona, mining, mineral, all kinds of stuff. So he has those collections. And then he has the magazine collection on the Eastern Wall, which is, he has a number of collections where he has every issue of every magazine. Now, I ended up receiving about 6, 8, 10, 12 boxes of magazines I'm going through right now, trying to figure out what is salvageable and so forth. Some of them are really poor shape, but I'm going through those. So on top of it, the other collections I ended up with, and the 6 filing cabinets of material I'm going through, and my own collection, which was getting a little out of hand, and I was trying to get to and kind of get sorted. Now I got this other collection and stuff. Well, why do a book? Here's your thing, Robert. Today, you're trying to reach a much larger audience, and in what we're doing right here, I'm reaching a much larger audience. What I do on Mondays in Chasing Legends. Chasing Legends itself, not the Legend Superstition Mountain episodes on YouTube or the TV series, but just the Chasing Legends itself on Mondays. Those stories have had more viewers, more people have listened to those and watched those than probably every Lost Dutchman book written and released over the last probably 60, 70 years. Now, we deal with just a few things outside of that, but historically on that, the narratives and so forth, it's covering more ground. We're catching more people. There's a much wider ranged audience. When you write a book, and all due respect, I know it's nice to see your name on a book, but if I write a book, it's going to be something more of kind of putting researched material and stuff together. It's not for entertainment purposes necessarily. And the problem would be, is it could sell, I don't know, 500 copies, 1,000 copies. I'm not going to sell 1 million copies. I'm not going to sell 2 million copies of that book. So I'm not going to get the outreach. So let's take in perspective. One day I sat down between History Channel, what I've done on YouTube, other presentations, other programs and shows. The outreach and viewership is somewhere over 30 million people worldwide. There is no one in the entire time in Lost Dutchman hunting that's ever sold that many books. The most books, I mean, Sim Zealy sold a good amount. Barry Storm did. Killer Mountains probably did pretty good. Jack Carlson right now is currently sold the most books. He's probably sold about 40 or 50,000 books of the Hiker's Guides. So when you want to write a book, you have to face the problems. You're just doing it to get your name on the shelf and show your friends, hey, I wrote a book. By doing this, I'm actually writing a book verbally. We're doing lives, which kind of covers little bits and pieces of things, but the Chasing Legends stuff kind of fits that mold. And that was, I took that from, and I wasn't stealing, but I kind of looked at Tom Collenborn's Ride Through Time and said, what would you do? Audio, video series and that. And that's what I did. I came up with the concept, well, let's do this. And we've been around longer than anyone else doing what we're doing here. And no matter what everybody else does with their bots and this and that and their whatever BS they want to do, I'm actually a Dutch hunter that goes into the mountains that search for the Lost Dutchman mine, dealing with topics and people around me that are the same. So that's very, very important, is that you can look around, and I'm not going to, it's just, I'm the only Dutch hunter that really does this. So, that I know of. There's other people that call themselves treasure hunters that are interested in the Lost Dutchman and other things and stuff. But as far as the core Dutch hunters of the hundreds or whatever, and we can go through, I am the only one that does this. And I try to bring the others in. That's why in the show you saw Tom Collenborn and Bob Shoes. Couldn't get Ron Feldman to do it, but we got Jack Sanf. We were trying to bring in people, and there's people that were cut out of the show. Always tried to bring people in to do stuff, because that was the most important thing, is to make sure the thank yous and everybody gets their moment on, on television. Because think about it, as much as Tom Collenborn sold a lot of books, he did a lot of things. He did a little bits and pieces in episodes. But the History Channel program, definitely, I don't know which ones he was in. Well, one of them he couldn't make it because he wasn't feeling good. But just our last episode is probably worldwide is somewhere in the 5, 6, 7 million range now because of time. Between everything else, the airings, the repeats, because the first run of it was 2 million. So in real time, the first time was 2 million, and it's added to that. So say 5 or 6 million people worldwide, and that was just U.S. domestically, not Canada, not Mexico, not Europe, because it played all through Europe and England and stuff, and even the Middle East. So you add all that together, it probably got Tom in more households than any place else. And that was the purpose, was to get Tom has books to sell. Let's get Tom out there, help sell and move stuff. And it worked to some degree. Everybody was selling more books. Tourism picked up, Goldfield and the museum and everything. Everybody let me know the numbers were way up because of that. And that was the intent and purpose, was to kind of spread the love there and do that. So the outreach, and that's the reason Trevor said, let's keep doing this and do this, because it makes more sense than a book, because it's free. I don't make anything off of it, but you can sit back and watch it over and over. So there you go. And it gives you in context. I mean, let's face it, I'm a walking bibliography. I keep telling you guys what books to look for and buy and where source material comes from. So it's a really cool thing. So writing a book, and while there is something I'm working on, it's not related in the way you would think. I think it'll be nice. I think it'll be, but it'll be more, you will understand in the end, it's more research minded on something specific. And it was just something I thought needed preservation, and that was the reason for it. Okay, so we'll get off that a little. Were the Dons mainly interested in historical process? They were searching for gold. There's no doubt about it. They liked the historical perspective was a good big part. I would say it was 50-50. They were searching for gold. They were very, very active in the outdoors, but they were all over Arizona. We've never even really covered much of Travelcade, where they were taking 10, 20 busloads of people up to Four Corners. They were taking them to the Grand Canyon. They were taking them up to Sedona. I mean, we're talking busloads. One of the first Travelcades they tried, it got so popular that at one point they met at the state capitol. There were so many people that showed up in vehicles, and the reason they went to buses and started to charge was everybody showed up in cars. When the last car left the Phoenix Capitol parking lot, the first car was pulling into Wickenburg because they were going out to, I think they were going to the Vulture Mine or something. And literally, that's crazy that how many cars were on the road that day for that. And I think there was only 5 or 6 Dons working with that day. So just that in itself, Travelcade was kind of mind-blowing. Someday I'll have to do a video or go into that in depth. And they would run the Travelcades every year on top of the Trek and everything else. I don't think, unless you were a Don and you understood it, if you've ever looked at the logistical paperwork of the stuff they did, you would be mind blown, because it was like a major big deal, and it had a lot of prominence at one time. Either way, they knew how to fun, and they had fun. What time on the 10th do you want to be there? I said I'd release that. Tom was on PBS, and he was on the news all the time. Every year or two or something, he'd do it. He got burned out a little on it. He did a couple other programs in search of. I think he pops up in some different stuff. But what I was mainly saying is, as far as that as being Tom Collenborn, and then the big thing that they didn't do was, I said, any episode when Shoes was on, anything they'd written, Jack was in, I felt they should have, at the end of the episode, put up like a picture of the book and order information to support them and help them do that stuff. No problem, Bobby. Where's Woody Wampler? That is of the most important. Where's Woody? Woody's at home. He's sitting at home, and he might not be sitting. He teaches prospecting classes, so he teaches prospecting classes, and that takes up a lot of his time. And then sometimes he becomes ill, and he has to stay home and not teach prospecting classes. And then he gets better, and then he goes out and teaches prospecting classes, and the people he's teaching get him sick again. So Woody's doing Woody's thing. I've kind of invited Woody for a couple things here and there. Always happy to see him and stuff. But it's a long drive, and I don't really want Woody on the road sometimes in some of these. So he's always there at the rendezvous, and he comes down for some different things, but it's just tough. It's a distance thing. One of those things, like when we did Legends, and the last time when we were leaving, I remember Eric and I shared a vehicle. Woody and Frank drove out because Woody can't fly. So Woody had rode with Frank, and we did not think about it that morning when we were getting ready to leave. Frank and Woody, we didn't even see them, and then we got on, and I did not realize that was the last time the 5 of us were going to even be around each other. We did not think about it in that term at all. And then after that summer, and then things seemed to be with the production company and History Channel kind of at each other, and whatever was going on, we kind of like went, huh? And then it definitely the problems and things that happened in Eric and Eric's life and stuff, and then Woody's health. It kind of like was a big deal when we tried to get Magnuson to come out one year to the Rendezvous. DeLille made it, but then Woody didn't make it. So there's never been more than 3 of us in one place ever since that time. So for all those years and all that stuff, and whether we talked to each other enough, it's never converged. We had no idea that that was the last time we were going to see each other. We just got in the car, me and DeLille. I don't think even we said goodbye to Mags. We just got to the airport. He went one way, we went the other. Me and DeLille hung out because we had the. He was flying in the same place I was, so we flew in together and flew out. But it was kind of crazy too because he's going to Northern California and he ended up going through Phoenix both times. But there we go. Woody shared how he saved Frank's life. Frank saved Woody's life. Yep. We did that. That video was us. Yeah, we did that video. My historic information on Knife Hill and Blacktop Mesa. Great podcast. Thank you so much. Hi, any historic guy. I think we did something on Blacktop. We did the God, I can't remember his name now. I thought we did a little one of the things with Blacktop. Search of that was a good one. Okay, I want to make sure I get all these. Do you like Aqua Chigger's videos? You know, my problem with YouTube stuff is guys do the YouTube stuff, and I'm just not sure what they're doing. I mean, I'm gonna go back, and I won't say anybody's names, but someone did a video, and it was on about 2 brothers that went up, and they were well known. And Tom Collenborn showed somebody the site, and they knew the real story behind it all. And they almost, one of them had a heart attack after the trip, and the other one got hurt. And there was a lot of drama involved. And the whole video was portrayed as something completely different than what it really was. And it was complete fiction. And it kind of was like annoyed me because, one, people got hurt because of it, which it shouldn't have been. But secondly, they knew better, and I even tried to kind of go, well, you know who was up there and who dug the hole, because Tom knew, and we knew the site from Tom, and Tom had told me the history, and I was kind of like, that ain't right. Is that how you want to do that? And that's how they decided to do things, and I thought that was pretty piss poor. And I'm not going to be like that, you know. I'll say, hey, this is what so-and-so told me. I'll tell my own story of what happened to me. I'll tell you stuff, and you can see I'm a little irreverent about some of the stories and stuff, but I'll tell you the sources I got it from. But I'm not going to do that. It's like, oh, here's the great Peralta mine, and get 150,000 views or 200,000 views, you know, which equates to what? Well, I don't know what they're doing. There's a lot of bot traffic going there because, again, on YouTube, watch time is everything. And if someone's not showing you certain pieces of their analytics, you know there's some tomfoolery. That's a clean word, not the word I would normally use, but tomfoolery behind the scenes on that. But still, even if it was realistic, you just spread a bunch of nonsense and bullshit that you knew wasn't true to, you know, a couple 100,000 people. Nice job, you know. And I find that annoying, and I try to just, you know, it's like you're dealing with people you know and stuff, and that just stuff drives me nuts. I don't have any crazy Jake stories. I know a lot of people that do. They're not my stories necessarily to share. I did talk about Laszlo down by Squaw in the camp there and the murders and stuff, which was related. Shoes, Ron Feldman, Brian Lickman. There's a number of different people I know that have a lot of crazy Jake stories. I'm hoping that we're going to get some of these guys to sit down and talk about some of them and give us some interrelated of those. My problem with Jake is I stayed away from all that because of that. He was a con man. There's not a lot of nice things I would have to say about him from what I learned about him. So it's kind of like I tend to kind of look at it as he took advantage of a lot of people, and he took advantage of anyone and everyone. And there's a reason that some people did no longer work for him after a period of time. So I kind of, from the outside, listening to the stories, kind of realized, okay, there's just the way someone is, and that was who he was, and it's unfortunate. And I just go, I don't have any stories about him personally. I don't have any personal stories, and nothing to do with him at that time. I was still a pretty young kid. I knew some people that bought a map and got some material from someone, and it was in the area where he was living at one point. I never put the two together, but they were talking about this guy and all this stuff, and then years later, I found out he lived down the street right in the same neighborhood for a period of time. And when I found that out, I realized that's who they were dealing with, and he was selling them a bunch of bogus information. And they really believed in it and spent a lot of money in going up in the mountains. So, okay, historic information at Knife Hill and Blacktop Mesa. We did Knife Hill. I'm not a big fan of Knife Hill because it's petroglyphs, a mixture of petroglyphs, grinding holes, and then some modern carvings mixed in. And there was so much that happened around there. I'm not sure what is real, what is not. I've went over it and over it, and I think there's a lot of blurring of the lines there. We did film there. I thought we released a lot of that video when we were down there. We revisited it and walked around and some of the stuff. There were some interesting things that we didn't release in the area, but it was not anything to do with Knife Hill. It was actually kind of unrelated. So we still wanted to finish that story there. Blacktop Mesa, there was a number of stories and some stuff we wanted to do, and Trevor and I wanted to make a trip and film for a day up there, covering all those different stories, because I also wanted to take Trevor up there. But there's two or three things I want to film in the mountains. Not necessarily, there'll be Legends episodes, but they're kind of more of just kind of putting people in time and place and space of that. I think if people find themselves in those spots and you're talking about it and showing them, they're going to kind of see things a bit differently. And there's interesting things. There are always very interesting things. And I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He was from New Jersey. Claimed his grandmother was an Apache. She wasn't. She lived in New Jersey. What was his name? He dug those holes up there. Had a couple guys. And he claimed he had a half Apache or something. It wasn't John Cochera. And he dug those holes up there. And there was a cave that his grandmother had been let down on a rope and went in and all that stuff. And then we went through his family line and found out she wasn't an Apache and all that stuff. Why didn't you get to use Kim's FLIR camera on the ghost hunt? We took him off? I don't think so. I think it was just, I don't know. Never asked. Didn't care. I mean, what were we going to find on the FLIR? Heat signatures? Don't know. If he was here, I saw him today. See, if we would have known that, so I'll ask him next Friday if he shows up. Lizard Man. Yeah, a lot of people. That was something I wanted to talk about. Now let me catch this next one before I get back. And do you really believe weird stories here? Experience paranormal? I think they're okay. That covers with this. Lizard Man. I think our number one video on Chasing Legends now is the Lizard Man story. It blew by the Mogollon Monster. Imagine that. Not the Legend episodes, because a couple of those are up in the 100,000s. But this is the Chasing Legends Mondays one. And I was like, well, holy crap. Well, what I did during the week was I went to YouTube, and we don't always catch all the comments. Sometimes they need to be vetted, or they don't pop up, or we don't get emailed on them, and we don't see them. And so I went in to go through all the comments and see the stuff we missed over the last few months. I try to do it and catch and like and answer and reply to some stuff. And I found there was a lot of people that were pissed off that I don't believe in the Lizard Man. And I was like really surprised. No, we got Frank's knife back, actually. Someone found it. Frank dropped it under something. But and it was a good catch, and thank you to that person who found it. Frank doesn't want to bag it. He's talking about, the person who found it is talking about clean it up, make it nice again for Frank. Frank was like, it looks like shit. I don't want it no more. But Frank dropped it and didn't look very hard for it. But I was really surprised that those lizard, serpent, UFO people are so I was going to make a video with Trevor and do some shorts where we're out there with like a megaphone, and I might still do it. I wanted to go out there and start going, here, Lizzie, Lizzie, Lizzie. Here, Lizzie, Lizzie, Lizzie. Oh my gosh. I really wanted to do something just hilarious, just thumb my nose. But then I found out all these people are so mad that I don't believe in the lizard man, and they're saying they hope I run into one. Like, what a bunch of creeps. Yeah, I've been in the mountains for 50 years, and I've run into a lot of stuff. No UFOs. And that was a conversation we had today. I asked a couple people, and it was like, Greg Davis there, 25,000 hours in the air as a Navy pilot and cargo freight pilot, and never saw a UFO. Nothing neither of us have ever seen the Superstitions. Talked around about a bunch of us. Nothing similar to that. Nothing. I've seen some odd things that kind of made me go, what? What did I just see? But nothing. And that related to the lizard man UFOs. Yeah, that was crazy. So many people got mad that I don't believe in the lizard man. And they hope I get abducted by one. So, I may go out and chase the lizard man. Maybe when we go to Garden Valley, I'll bring a megaphone and I'll stand up on a high point and call out to the lizard man. I probably won't. I'll take it serious. We talked about that too, about going as a lizard man. We talked about sending someone out to the camp in a lizard man outfit when there's people camped out there like the Boy Scouts and stuff, and have them run through there. But, you know, this is Arizona, and if you did something stupid, you might get shot. Because this is Arizona, and you can just actually have a gun and shoot crap like that. See, with the high-tech equipment and Lear, we can bring Monster Quest back. Okay. I haven't said that. We'll release that. We got a little time before that. We'll mention it. It'll probably be something like 9 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock. I'm waiting for the dawns because we're trying to pull together who can be there, what time, and what not. And then I'll try to be there a little earlier. But we'll probably set a time. I don't, they fill up. It's almost you got to go out there and see what time it starts to fill up and then just try to jump before that. Like to this morning, and we went out and the Apache Kid Cave parking lot, because I call it the Apache Kid Cave because that's what it's called. That parking area, there was only 2 vehicles there this morning when I rolled through, and I probably rolled through there about 8 o'clock. So on a weekday, it's very, it's a completely different weekday, but when I left, that whole place was jam-packed again. So, okay, we can do that at next rendezvous. Put a tracker on the bats. Take you a location, okay? Lizard man is 11 feet tall. Well, then how's he freaking hide? And these caves, the caves and stuff in the Superstitions, the lava tubes and the mines, the cave, they're very small. I mean, how's this 11-foot tall lizard guy freaking getting around? And how's he hidden so well? I drank Fireball with the lizard man. Might have been Shoes. Was a little wasted. Yeah, it could have been either or. Yes. He don't look like a lizard. Don't shoot lizard man. I believe someone coined the shoes juice. Let's see. Has it been confirmed that lizard bites transform you into a lizard? I've never even heard that one. I have nothing. I have very little knowledge of that. I'm gonna next live. The next one we do, if Trevor still hasn't got something to put up here, I want to do a thing showing some of these books I've gone through with some really stupid. But there are a few good books of people that are kind of skeptical, but they put together real research. They believe in certain phenomena, but their research does them no favors, if you know what I mean. So it's actually very honest, open research where they actually kind of doubt a lot of things. And I respect that when someone, because usually people go full blown, oh, it's Sedona, it's built out of crystal castles, or quartz crystals covered over by sandstone, because that's what they did to hide the earlier group, whatever. Oh God, I don't know, the Atlanteans. Like I said, people get so stupid on this stuff, and then I don't know how many portals and what are the other portals and vortexes and these crap, and they say that, and I just run through them back and forth. Oh well, you're not doing it right, and then I get told in the end, if you don't believe it doesn't work, Well, okay, sure, whatever. So, but yeah, the lizard people got mad at me. They're defending the lizard people. Okay. A lizard man must eat a lot of bugs. Yeah, what do they eat? Hides the Egyptians in the Grand Canyon. Yeah, that's another one. Birdman you have to watch for. Is Massacre Ground Trail, place where the massacre really happened. There's a lot of discrepancy on that. I've known people that found some ore up in there. Definitely two prospectors. Jeez. We just talked about it this morning down at Discovery Camp. Greg and I, someone else were talking about it. I hate that. Anyways, we were talking, they did find a substantial amount of gold ore and all. Was that the first place, the last place? I think that might have been the place where the last remnants were killed off and some bones were found. There was a couple people that told some stories and tried to make, you can't find any real information. You know, it's funny. People will put stuff in the books, and then years later, because of the internet and the ability to research and stuff, you find out they just made up crap and gave it to people and put it in books, which is really sad. And I always loved saying that because I know they sometimes watch this stuff and then they know I'm talking about them, like right now. And if they think I'm talking about them, I really am talking about them. And I know that burns them, but they can't say anything because I know way too much and I would say too much and then I would embarrass them. So they shut their mouths. And I like the fact that they get a little burn out of it, because making up some of those stories and making sure it was out there in public. I think the massacre was a number of people, but there's also the story that there was a lot of the mules and burros were killed up on Horse Mesa, Shoes, and I kind of side with that, as down by the Salt River area there would have been another spot. So I think they kept hitting them, and as they kind of worked their way out, and the massacre grounds might have been, it could have been an unrelated group. There's people that say there were two different massacres at different times. But I think that might have been the remnant of the last people that thought they finally broke out, were trying to get open ground, and they got pushed back, and then they went up, and then they thought, well, you know what, we'll go up here, and we'll be able to hold them off, and they made a last stand there. So Massacre Ground, Last Stand Hill, however you want to see it. And people, like I said, different people have different thoughts. Not to mention skinwalkers. Yeah, that's... Silverlock and Malm, yeah. Silverlocks and Goldilocks. Carl Malm and Carl Silverlock. And yeah, they are actually documented, and the ore was documented, and they were out there, and they found a substantial amount. So there was something there. Now, was it really just there was a few guys with the last, and they just drove them up in there? And what did they do with the animals after that? It's hard to say. And the problem is, there's not. I worked for years on the premise of someone has to have a piece. There is not a single surviving piece. And I know some guy will come out of the blue now like, oh, I got the one piece. Nobody had any surviving pieces. I started probably 20 years ago really querying people, trying to find out if there was any surviving massacre ore, and that you could matrix and fingerprint it with. Before I learned the fingerprinting matrix, it was just going to tell you it was from a general area. But I was hoping that there would be a piece substantial left. I know a couple people that found some ore up there, but I don't know what happened to them, and I don't know where that ore ended up. So who knows? Maybe that's a hike someday, to go up to Massacre Grounds and just look all over and find another piece of ore. Something that we can find and see what it looks like. If you don't believe in gravity, it still works. I don't even understand how that makes any sense to the rest of this. I do believe in gravity, and it does still work. I don't think there's serpentine guys with the dragon heads and whatnot walking around. Never seen one. I do not know of anyone that I know of. Now, someone randomly can come up to me and say, hey, they pulled me into the spaceship and all. I don't know you. So that's how I can stay on that. My great aunt worked New Mexico Silver Chief mine, which is different Silver Chief, and got kidney poisoning. Had to pee a lot, got ridiculed. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, a lot of people got poisoned because of the minerals and different stuff, and working at the mines and all the stupid stuff that went on of those. Yeah, and you got to remember they use cinnabar. They bake their potatoes with cinnabar and really nasty, stupid stuff. Today we would be like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" Back then they didn't think nothing of it. And fried their brains. Has an archaeology study been conducted on the massacre grounds area? No, not that I know of. If there was one, I'm looking for a report on the crematory cave. I know they took that apart. That actually had walls and stuff at one time, and then they found it in 1934 when they were going, or 1935. No, the end of 1934. And I've been looking for the reports because they did an archaeological study on that, and I cannot find any material on that. So I've always looked for those reports. I have a number of them that have nothing to do with the superstitions. I find them. They're big, thick things, and there's only probably X amount copies were made. And when I'm at a lot of used bookstores, I look for those things because I love to find those because they're very, very detailed and precise about certain sites. I think I have one. Do I have it, or did I pass on it? There was one for Snaketown. It was a huge volume of stuff to do with Snaketown. But I've always wanted to find some of the stuff to do with the superstition, because I'm sure at Odd House out there someone did something. But I've never seen one. I've never seen the archaeological studies in the superstitions. I've seen modern light ones, nothing that's like the biblical versions that you used to find. Nobody messes with you, Wayne. You know where all the bodies... I don't know where the bodies are buried. I ask where the bodies are buried. Nobody will tell me. All the precious soup relics are now planted in yards. Yeah, that was we had a guest speaker at the Dawn's meeting, and he talked about an individual who had the buckhorn bass in Mesa, and Ed Sliger, and Ed had hundreds of metates and manos and all kinds of Indian relics, and he built them into the walls and had them just laying around and stuff. So much stuff. I mean, when I was a kid, it was pretty plentiful. And then you go back another 30, 40 years, it was even more plentiful. You don't realize how much of that stuff was out there. And then just people brought it home. And if you want to see Indian stuff from sites and stone tools and stuff, Scottsdale's a great place. Just walking through older neighborhoods and just look in their yards, and you'll see all kinds of stuff. Okay. So I don't think there's been an archaeological study on the massacre grounds area. There's nothing there that they can do. Nobody messing with you, Wayne. The arrowheads lead to the orb, buddy. Okay. Did they ever bury Adolf Ruth's remains? Yeah, they did in Washington, D.C. They were all shipped. Everything was shipped back to Washington, D.C. So I guess they buried him. So his remains would be wherever they're buried in Washington, D.C. I can't remember. Someone had a picture of his gravesite. I'm sure it's in a box of my stuff. Yeah, because someone had visited that and talked about it. Was it? Who was it? He was buried. Might have been Jack Sanfelice. So there was a cemetery he was patrolling. What was he? Jack said there was a cemetery he was patrolling, and someone was buried there, and he was very surprised at who it was. Maybe it was Sim Zeeley. That might have been Sim Zeeley, I think. But anyways, I know Ruth was buried because they sent all the remains and everything back, and there was a couple. I remember seeing a report, and I got part of it somewhere where someone talked about some of it. Because remember, I always mention that they don't talk about the medical doctors or the dentist and all the other stuff. I mean, why would they have a dentist looking at, they identified everything and did everything, and then Odd House sent it off, and Herdlicka kind of went off the deep end with it. But there were some things that were missing or they talked about, and those things were put inside. And then the other problem was some stuff wasn't sent and it was left behind, and then people were like, oh, they stole it. No, they probably left stuff behind here and there, and then nobody knew what to do. What do we do with it? Do we throw it away? That seems wrong. Should we send it to the family? Oh, we don't want it. Oh, okay. So there you go. So they buried him. There's a story that Spaniards, I'm taking it, were so afraid of the superstition they did. Well, and someone posted a map on Facebook. I think it was Dutch Hunter himself. I can't use his real name. But anyways, I have a copy, a really cool looking aged version of that map, the Spanish map, and someone pointed out, I think Vince Emenowitz. I don't know if Vince ever comes in here, but I said his name. So he makes great battery cables. Buy battery cables off of Vince Emenowitz. There you go. He's a member of the Dawns. Anyways, they were talking about a map that there's nothing north of the Gila around the Salt River. All the areas of the superstitions, there's nothing. And I was going to chime in and say that, hey, you know where those Spanish missions are? Those are the invisible ones. because they're invisible on the map, because they're invisible to the naked eye. That's where the dark elves live. I'm probably just pissed off all the people that are into the serpent people again, too, because they probably believe in that stuff. Hello, Wayne. Hello, folks. Wayne, do you have itchy feet to walk around out there? Let's see a video of exploring the area. Yeah, we're going to get back out. We tried to get out, then it rained. We're going to go do something. We're going up. The blacktop trip was something we planned out, and then the rain came, and it got really cold and wet, so we had to cancel the trip. There was a couple things we were doing, and it just kind of fell into place. There was something else I had planned of meeting with someone to interview I was hoping to do, so that kind of made me kind of watch how I scheduled my plans during that 2 or 3 weeks. So there's still things we're going to be doing, and we'll put them together for this summer. So a couple things with Frank as well. I got Frank convinced to go on a couple trips and a couple things, and we just got done filming something this last week. So we're putting stuff together, and then we'll see what we got together, and then kind of decide the format of how we want to do it. So I talked that, and it's better to be pissed off than pissed on. Yep. I pissed on a burro once. He was sleeping under a bush, and I got out of the truck, and it was dark. And man, I'll tell you what, if you want something to make your hat fly off in your ears and your hair stand on end, it's peeing on a burro in this brush that's asleep and not realizing he's there. Man, he woke up mad and braying, and I didn't know I thought it was like chupacabra coming out of the bush to get me. And I ran to get a flashlight and stuff. It was a pretty funny story. Unless you were on fire. Yeah. Being on fire would be bad too. So there we are. We kind of ran through. I hear dishes and stuff going, and we went over. And because I'm having cowboy stew tonight, so you guys aren't keeping me very long from that because it was good. Fortunately, the cowboy stew should have had mushrooms in it, and nobody here likes mushrooms but me. So I allowed them to make it without the mushrooms. So that kind of sucks. But we're going to get rolling out of here. I'll catch these last few. An electric fence. Never done that. By Gunsight Mountain, Tucson. Base of Keystone Peak is a massive tribal chief. Course on 1,000. Picture. That's one thing that this is missing, is being able to share pictures. I wish there was an ability to do this where we can share and people can send. I have to tell Trevor, maybe we need to make a mailbox or something and then have a way where we can share pictures so someone can send something and we can throw pictures in, and when people are talking about certain things or elements, and do that. Because I try to make it as interactive as possible on the lives. It's very difficult. We did the stuff, and it was total train wrecks having Woody in there and Dalil in there and trying to do different stuff, and I've tried it with a couple other. It just becomes a total train wreck. But I'd like something where Trevor would be able to take and send, and we could put something up and share it and talk in real time and stuff like that. That would be great. Don't give Trevor any credit. He screwed it up at the beginning. Yeah, if anybody's getting pissed while they're sleeping, being pissed on in the middle of the night, it's him for that. I set it up right. He tried to tell me, no, that's not the way you do it. And then he screwed it all up. See, I got it right. Zoom. Yeah, but I don't really want to do Zooms. I wanted a public media display. There has to be a way to do certain things here. I don't know. There has to be a way to do it and work it out. Kind of the technology we have today, there has to be. I stalled an RC filter last night and feel like I was ran over by a horse and rider. That happens though. That's also getting older. It's Trevor about orbs. Trevor also is a photography instructor, so he knows about orbs. Oh no! Okay, you said OBS. I thought you said orbs. So yeah, dust particles. But they're intelligent. They're intelligent dust particles. I'm making so many paranormal people mad. But I'm here, and I'm, available. And you know what, the comic element will actually add to everything. And don't you want, if you think this shit's real, and, oh no, you'll be okay. I've been in those places. I've done those things. You know what? Nothing happened. So there you go. So I'm sorry. It would be cool. Hit the like button, you all. There we go. See, thank you, Tom. Maybe you can click. I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk to Trevor, and we'll have to test run it. And so sometimes if you see something pop up in the middle of the weekend or something, that's just us testing ideas. Because I always want to test new ideas and stuff, and we try to delete them and get them out of there before anybody shows up. Because we're trying to kind of look at what we can kind of possibly do next generation. So there we go. Image links you can click. Back before cell phones, we worked with two hands. Has Trevor ever worked construction? No, but he watched me build a barn. And him and his brother were absolutely mind blown and amazed what I was doing with a speed square and building. Yes, it was a very odd thing. Is they're just, what? You can do that? How do you know that? Well, I did construction for a long time. Okay, great. Joke them if they can't. Okay, so there we're going to go. I'm going to get out of here. I think we lost a bunch of people along the way, even though we got up to 144 views. So it's kind of like I think some people are going out and grabbing their dinner, and that's what I'm going to do because I hear a beer and a bowl of stew with my name on it. So definitely it's that time. Frank finds a lizard man, it will be taxidermied. Yep, probably. So there you go. Thank you everybody for joining us. That was a long one, but thank you. It was a long day for me, but it was great to see everybody and get this sorted out because we did get in here delayed a little. So I'm glad it's always fun. I'm glad everybody always enjoys themselves. I hope everybody has a great weekend and a great rest of the week. Catch our Chasing Legends on Monday. Probably, without a doubt, since I'm going to ask Trevor, put something up for next Friday so I get a break on live. And I'm pretty much going to guess I'm going to see you all next Friday because that's what happens every week. If we are a little late, it's because I'm running from the Superstitions back to here to this camera to do this. Garlic French bread. I don't know what we're having with it. I think it's just the stew. It's just cowboy stew. But I might be bread, but I didn't hear the bread maker going. So there you go. So go beer. Okay, thank you everybody. Everybody have a great weekend. Have a great time. I am out of here. You're out of here because you have no choice because when I click this end stream thing, it's just the end for all of us. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.